right, so the plot begins. So who was the person that was suing you for child support?
The County of Los Angeles.
But who was the child? Like, what the...
At the time where the child was conceived, I was 12 years old. It's unlayered. So once I turned 18, they started the case. I found later. So during that time, they...
What a do? What a do? Hey, boss here. And I hope y'all win the bird. What are we talking about today? Oh, we're talking about this man here, TJ Tilman, on Instagram. It looks like child support is a fraud. He's talking about how he was railroaded into child support. And I didn't know all this stuff. I paid into the system. I was 18 years. I'm an 18-year veteran of financial support of the child support system. Let's go ahead and listen to some more of this.
Was giving the mother government assistance, so right. Cash aid, food stamps. So this is how this money started to accumulate.
Did you even know the mother?
I knew her, yes.
Okay.
So it's crazy because she was a friend of my cousin at the time. Again, I'm 12 years old. This is in 1990, so it was a different time back then. So it's like that the day that we attempted to do something, that was the first day I met her.
Okay.
I'm 12 years old.
Right.
And it gets even...
How old was she?
I think she was 14 or 15.
Okay.
And me it was being my first time. Mm-hmm. I never even penetrated.
Okay.
So as time went on, it's like, okay, she had a baby, but it's like, okay, well, is it my child? Again, now I'm 13 years old. We're in 1990. There's no communication between families and things of this nature. And that's the last that I heard of it until 2003, when I got a call from HR saying that they finished our garnishing my checks.
Wow. Yeah, because I always hear stories about people who have
Oh yeah, I remember the garnishment, especially without paperwork, right? Because I made sure I stopped talking to my daughter's mother, and I'm not sitting up here and acting like I was the right person in the situation, but at the end of the day, I asked for DNA, and back then DNA wasn't a big thing. They were like, you got to pay for it. I said I paid for it, and then there was some stuff where my baby's mom would avoid it, all that kind of stuff. And the only reason I got served is because I had gotten DUI. That's what ended up happening. And then I let it lapse. And then finally got restitution because it was on my back and I couldn't get my license. There's all this stuff that went on about that. And then I was in jail serving my time for the DUI. And that's when they serve you. And I'm like, this is how I knew that the system they'll find you, especially how they already know I was in jail, right? So they have stuff on your record, fellas. They put jackets on you, especially depending on what state you're in. I'm gonna say it like this: if you have this situation happen to you, where you have baby, some dudes just don't care, but especially the good dudes. I'm only talking to the men that only wanted to have children with a wife, right? It made me not want to play the field as much, right? Because you're over here knocking down chicks left and right, and something's going to slip up, right? And especially if you're a good dude and you treat somebody well, especially if she's already had kids before, most women are looking for a sucker. They ain't looking for a real man. They're looking for a sucker, a simp. That's who they want. They want a dude that's going to, I'll say this, you might not want to take care of your kids, but you ain't gonna lack in the financial department. You're gonna work, you're gonna find a good job, you're gonna do well for yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's who they're looking for. They're looking for a target, and the states don't care. It's prevalent. They don't care if they're gonna go after someone who's 12, right? He's not even. How can he even? He can't even. This is my thing. it, child support should have went to his parents or parents, because legally he's not able to have signed into any contract under the age of 18, from my understanding. So that should, most of the 7 years should have went to his parents, because they're legal guardians of this individual.
Support, they owe back child support, and then they can do multiple things before they arrest you, because they'll garnish your wages, they'll maybe revoke your driver's license. So what were the things that happened to you?
At that time, the first thing they did, they suspended my license. They suspended my license. They put a freeze on my passport, which I didn't even know, because I wasn't trying to get a passport, but they did it anyway. Bank levy, they sent, after a time it had accumulated, they sent the $48,000 bank levy to my account. I didn't have $48,000 in there, but what was in there was all I had, and they took it all. So it was.
Fellas, if you are worried about this situation, what you need to do is you need to create an LLC or a corporation of some sort, and then put yourself into a trust, and make sure your trust, you have your irrevocable trust and then a business trust. So that way, any monies you get gets deposited into that bank account, right? That the child support can't see. Even if they try to find it, they won't know to find it. That's what I ended up doing, so that way I didn't get garnished. I mean, they garnished my wages before that, but I didn't know that you're allowed to work as a contracted worker, especially if you are tasked out from the LLC, and then make sure your LLC is not in the state within which your child support is. They won't even look.
But the woman who had the child, she did go and say that you were the father, and that's why.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why this happened.
Yes.
So there was nobody else she was claiming was the father, only you.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So then you get this. Then you find out 7 years in arrears, and you have to end up going and representing yourself. So you weren't even able to get an attorney to represent you?
No, at that time, no. So just so you understand, when I found out about it, this is 7 years.
Right.
I go to the court. The courts tell me you had 6 months to respond. There's nothing that we can do. This went on for another 13 years. So now it's 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So now they're garnishing bank levies, license suspensions, off and on.
That affects your credit. That affects you being able to buy a house, get a car, sometimes even get a job, because people do check your credit in those situations.
So this went on for 20 years. So when I took them to court, and everything changed for me. So I'm paying them on top of the money that they're taking, I'm paying an additional $50 so I can keep my license. But every year my license got suspended for a system error. So at this point, like I said, it's 13 years that went by. We doing this dance every year. I got to call you, pay you another $50 to release my license, pay the DMV another $75 to reinstate my license. And now I got to do this again next year because it's going to happen again.
Right.
So this particular year, I'm like, yo, why do I keep going through this? Like, man, this is fraud. Like, what? And the lady said, fraud? What do you mean fraud? You got served. And I'm like, wait, I got served?
So you didn't even realize. Okay.
No. And she's like, you got served? I'm like, well, tell me when I got served. She's like, she placed me on hold. She come back. I'm sorry, Mr. Tilman. We do not have your signature. I'm like, well, I know you don't have my signature because I've been with me every day of my life. I know I didn't get served.
I've been with me every day.
And she was like, but immediately she said, that don't matter anyway because you volunteered into the program. I said, I did what? I said, well, tell me what day I volunteered. Bull crap you not, Angie. This lady put me on hold. I'm on a hold. She come back. I'm sorry, Mr. Tilman. We do not have your signature. I'm going crazy.
So, this is what I find crazy. All right, men can be put on child support with no proof because you didn't sign the birth certificate. It's just her word against his. She gave a name of a person. They found him in the system with his social and information, and just went after it without proving. That is definitely criminal, if you ask me. Think about it. That's identity theft. Really, if you ask me. Let's listen to this.
Just so I'm clear, your son was on your phone, went to YouTube, a public platform, seen a girl twerking on YouTube, not a video in my phone, on YouTube, and a judge or a fake judge stripped away your parental rights and now made you have monitored visits?
That was one of the most humiliating things that ever happened to me in my life. To have some stranger telling me how or what to say just to be around me and my kids. I mean, I've never had anything like that done to me in my life except for in that moment.
I'm just being honest, when we do calls and we interview, brothers and sisters on these things, even when we do our consultations, we find out that they are, in these hearings, they are getting railroaded, even in family court, right? They're getting railroaded. They're getting their parental rights stripped away from them. They cannot push back because there's no accountability. So when we started this whole podcast, this whole platform, is to create accountability. All right, because what the system is doing is controlling our families, controlling the minds of our families. They're controlling the outcomes. You know what I mean? It's really destructive.
So that's what I'm going after. I'm finding that a lot of the fact that a high number of women in our community, 70 to 80% in my research of black women are pregnant or have children versus 20% of the men population. I was watching the brother MTR, right? And he had Maury Povich on there. And even with Maury Povich doing what he did with the DNA reveals, a large part of the women that are having these babies place dudes. There was a female that had 8 men on that show. 8. And none of them were the father. So that means there's an ambiguous number of 9, if possibly even more, that she was having sex around that time. Come on now. Really. That is absolute crazy work. So, ladies, I'm not coming after you. I'm just spreading facts, and if you don't like it, don't watch. My message is not for women. My message is not to help women at all. It's not against you. You might be a focus of it, but I'm talking about the injustice that's happened. And these women that are using the system against men because it benefits you, well, then you're guilty as charged. You're just as guilty. Because is it your fault? Probably not. But let me ask you a question. What is RICO? It's funny that the government comes after people for racketeering and doing criminal activities with a sinister plan and plot. Well, how do they not have RICO in child support? What's the difference between child support system and the mafia? Answer that question for me. What's the difference? I know, because the government controls it. This is K-Boss. Tell me what you think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and put it in the comments. Let me know what you're talking about. And I'm out.
What you gonna do? What you